And we're back.
Great, thanks everybody. Business Monday. We are rock and rolling. Saul Kaplan, Mr. Innovation is back.
It's a busy Business Monday.
Oh my God, it's a crazy Business Monday. Last week was crazy Pollster Week with John Della Volpe. Yeah, it's a little busy around Go Local land, and then everybody in virtually every position wants to announce they're running for office this week. It must be something in the water.
Not me.
Do you want to make a profound announcement?
No, I don't.
Let's talk one of our favorite subjects, HQ2.
HQ2.
So it was. I'm gonna let you go first. I have some strong opinions on Rhode Island's mysterious, will not disclose what's being put forth. You made a good point, though. You were pleased to see that in the effort, and maybe this is the best thing that can come out of an exercise like this, is that you use the exercise to bring some people together. You know, likelihood of winning HQ2 in Providence, Rhode Island is probably on the low side. We're not betting that as a lottery number, but it does give you some opportunity as an organization, as a state, as a collaboration, to bring some people together and start talking about new things.
Yeah, I think you take every pitch and you use it as a model and you get better with every pitch, right? And so I looked at the stuff that they made available to the public.
Both sheets of paper?
So okay, there's the first issue, right? Like you put some of it out publicly, you kept some of it behind the firewall, and now you leave us all to guess, like what's sitting behind that.
Right.
You know, and so, like, okay, probably should have been more transparent, as you mentioned in several of our conversations. I think the things that are really positive about this are, one, here's a group of very senior corporate officials that are coming together, you know, forming this partnership, putting some real dollars on the table, and working on issues that matter to them, that align with issues that matter to the state. So here was one where I think it's a positive that we should celebrate the fact that you have corporate leaders coming together, supporting, putting some resource on the table to professionalize the way we make these pitches. And I think some of the stuff we saw that was public facing is a result of that. Right? And I really, really like the lively experiment idea and metaphor. You know, as a way to describe it, I would have gone much further than they did, because I think lively experiment is the way we should position, but I want to know with real substance, how do we make Rhode Island a place where you can do lively experiments that serve, in this case, you know, Amazon's interest? How can you, that tie to their innovation agenda? Like, there wasn't much underneath the notion of lively experiment that I could see, you know, to say, here's why you can do experiments that improve customer value, create new business value, and you can model that here, you know, and then you're off to the races nationally and globally, you know. And I didn't see us taking lively experiment to a real proposition. What does that actually mean, and why is that of strategic value, you know, to Jeff Bezos and the Amazon team? I would have liked to have seen them have gone a lot further than that. The other thing that I really, really like in there, if you wade through it, you know, there's this Amazon Academy idea in there, which, as far as I could tell in reading a little bit about it, you know, is how do we take 11 colleges and universities, get them together to work collaboratively, you know, to really be able to make the pitch to Amazon.
Well, and if you think about it, they all. I mean, one great thing about Rhode Island is colleges and universities. They all complement each other pretty well. You know, Ron Makeley and the President Mandel up at RISD had built some partnerships back in the day. And RISD and Brown have some partnerships. Brian obviously brings some expertise in a certain area. University of Rhode Island. So there's some interesting potential that really hasn't been tapped in the past.
But it didn't go far enough, in my opinion, right? It's one thing to say on the surface, we're all going to work together. We're going to, if you come here, we'll build an Amazon Academy, which will help you develop the talent that you need to grow your enterprise. Like, I want a lot more, right? I tweeted out, that's a great idea. Why don't we do that right? Regardless of whether we win this or
right,
not.
right.
Because guess what? If we had an academy that truly connected the dots between 11 colleges and universities to offer something different, like maybe all the way to I could get certificates or degrees, right? Can you imagine them all agreeing on how they could issue a common degree? That's a big innovation. And if we had that today, we'd have greater odds of being relevant in this pitch. But my point is, regardless of whether they come here or not, or whether we get selected or not, why not do that?
Right,
Let's
totally.
actually do that. And I don't mean just wave your hands through it, and say, look at all of our 11 course catalogs and all of our degree programs. Let's actually build a platform that is good nationally, to help local companies, right, develop talent, and to help new companies come in here and see it. That would be a competitive advantage. That would be taking advantage of Rhode Island's small size to do something different than what other places would only dream of being able to do. Right? That's where I would like to see this go.
Well, as CIC comes into Wexford, listen, we don't have 100 venture capital and private equity groups as Boston does. We don't have the entrepreneurialism that is so instilled in MIT and Harvard that come together at CIC. But what we could replace, and the only way I think you're going to see a CIC really spawn and really create that amount of energy and activity, is through the type of innovation you're talking about, connecting all the colleges, where maybe you come into one of the colleges and you take a course group that connects all the different colleges and universities.
Right. And I'm not talking about, this is talking about how do we do it as a platform to develop talent and leadership, right? But you could also go to but you could also go to, I'm not just talking about collaboratively doing more research and positioning ourselves to get big research grants, which we should do. I'm talking about solving the real world problems that we have here in Rhode Island and connecting the dots across our 11 colleges and universities to do it better, faster, cheaper here because we collaborate. That's the secret sauce. Those are the red ruby slippers that Rhode Island has that we don't recognize that we
Don't
have.
be such a naysayer. Right? They did pave our street.
Okay. I know, look at since we talked last.
Right.
Yeah.
They've not painted the lines, but they paved our street, and after just 7 years, we're making progress here in Rhode Island.
I think that's absolutely right. But the good news is that we are moving in this direction. I don't know whether it's enough. I tend to agree with you. I don't think it rises to the level. I wish they had gone regional, but maybe that's a bridge too far and hard to pull off politically. But I don't really see the differentiation, that distinguishes us from
the lack of transparency. I just think is a big strategic mistake. And you saw from those polling numbers that the message is not connecting with the majority of people who live in Rhode Island. And I think when you see Worcester, who has some things going at WPI and UMass, and they have the medical school up there. They have some things going on, and they say, here it is. Here's the $500 million we put on the table. We can do a lot of it here, and we can connect to Boston. They put it forward both as a regional and as a host community. And they tell you how they're going to give you $500 million.
But it's easier politically for them because of the boundaries than it is to cross state boundaries, right? And so that is a big win idea that's harder to execute.
If you're CVS and a couple of the other players who are on our team, you might be able to pull that off. Is Boston in the game?
I think Boston is in the game. I have no inside information to know, but I think that they have a more compelling. I said this the last time you asked me, right? That this is why we should work regionally, right? Because there's some things that we can offer, particularly around activating lively experiment, not just at the rhetoric level, but what does it actually mean, and what can we deliver to a company like Amazon? I think that differentiates us from what Boston's going to do, because they're going to go all in on what I call the inputs, right? The research universities, putting seed capital and venture capital into the hands of startup enterprises, right? We should go all in on helping companies like Amazon develop the new models that transform customer experience and open up new ways for them, to change the buying, and selling process, which is the business they're in. Right. We should be the lively place that opens opens up lively experimentation for that. Now, if we can do it for Amazon, there's no reason why we can't do it for Rhode Island companies that are already here,
Right.
and use it as an attractor to bring other companies in. But that Talent Academy idea, we should have it already, and we should go as quickly as we can to create it for the
Was that a
next
little?
pitch.
Was that a little bit based on Goldman Sachs 10,000 small businesses or whatever the genre is that brings in small businesses, helps them train to be better businesses, identify things? Is that the next iteration of that? Is that this academy could be sort of the problem-solving partner for a company? Listen, there's not just one Benny's in Rhode Island. There's probably 500 companies in Rhode Island that are seeing challenges coming towards them and looking for ideas, partners, resources to be able to.
So it's both, and they're integrated. It's both talent development, like where's the 21st century talent coming from?
Right.
Imagine if all 11 of our colleges and universities actually got together and offered a set of programs, not the ones they already offer individually,
Right.
but new programs that they work together to create,
Yep.
right? If we could do that, that would make us unique in the country, and that would demonstrate that 11 colleges and universities are really aligned and integrated into making this a stronger place, right? As opposed to just strengthening their own individual institutions, right? Not that you're always gonna do both things, but you've got to break through the rhetoric to what are you willing to explore that's different than the way it works today, that gives us a leg up on the competition, right? And you can't wave your hands through that. You're either willing to explore and experiment with some different programming, in a collaborative way, or you're not. And so what we do here in Rhode Island is we know how to convene, because it's small and everyone can come in, and on the surface level say we're in.
Yeah.
Right? But you got to go much deeper than the surface level if you're really going to innovate and position Rhode Island differently. This puts us on that path, so that's why I say that academy idea, good idea. Now let's actually develop the model for that, regardless of whether we're viable. Because what happens here is everyone comes in and says, if Amazon comes, we'll play. And then when we don't get selected, they all go back to their 11 silos and they do what they were doing.
That's the argument. This is a great exercise. Listen, I think the number is 260 different, 230 different communities around the country. If 1%, if just 3 of those cities start to take their smart ideas and implement them, that they propose to Amazon and start to execute them within, you'd have 3 or 4 cities start to really take off because they're able to tap that collective energy and that collaboration. Are we capable of doing that absent Amazon?
We are capable of doing it. We have the conditions to do it. We've got progress towards convening and bringing people into the conversation. I think there's some evidence that these leaders are willing to play, as we could see in here. So I think that we're on the right path, and now we have to step on the gas. We have to accelerate that, but we have to really get below the buzzwords of collaboration to say, how are we going to work together differently to do something that puts us in a unique position, so that when we make these pitches or when we try to help local companies, we bring something different to the table than what larger, more complex places with more resource can do, because we're not going to out-incent them. I know the website says we'll match everybody dollar for dollar. Like, that's just not true. Like, are you kidding me? Like, our bucket for incentives is not going to be as big. But the good news is, in the end, you're going to need to play on the incentive side, but that's not what they're going to decide on, right? This is a strategic choice. We need to play the strategic game. Take that lively experiment idea and figure out what the business model is for Rhode Island to make that proposition to companies here and outside the state, and actually put the capabilities together to deliver it so that we can move the state forward. That is a big win idea, and yes, I do think that we could do it.
Let's jump over to, we've only got a couple more minutes, jump over to healthcare.
Okay.
Last week, Memorial Hospital, 800 employees, 600 and something FTEs. You would have thought that would be the big wake-up call that we need to address. some of our hospital systems and how we're delivering care, there is 0.0 sign that there is any material effort to jump on this issue. And I think we've got Care New England in very significant fiscal distress. It could be next.
But when you say jump on the issue, you mean to save Memorial Hospital?
I'm not necessarily, but to really look at how we're doing things, and are we just going to end up selling off each of our hospitals to out-of-state interest one by one because we're unable to create a healthcare structure that can support itself?
Yeah, well, the truth is for Memorial, because it's been losing money for so long, I guarantee you the leaders of these different entities have imagined a future of healthcare in Rhode Island without Memorial for a long time.
Yeah.
The question was politically, how do you get there?
Right. Well, they got there.
Right? Well, and we're going to get there one way or the other. Right, and it's painful for some that have a vested interest in that, or work there, or see it as important to the local community. And I understand that, but I think we were always going to head there. It was just a matter of how to handle it. Right.
So Mike Fine, who we all know, former director of the Department of Health in Rhode Island, says two things. One, we've known for a long time that we need 50%, 40% less hospital beds than we have right now, and that needs to be addressed immediately. The second thing he says, and nobody pays attention to this, is for communities like Woonsocket and Landmark and Memorial in Pawtucket, that those hospitals are incredibly important to sustaining those communities, because absent those, they can't replace those jobs. They simply can't, never will. And those are important jobs. 800 employees in Pawtucket are 800 employees in Pawtucket.
Yes, but if you want to keep the jobs and you want to keep improving the jobs, which we all do, we would all sign up to that objective, you better innovate. You better create new models. You better figure out how to deliver a new patient experience to Rhode Islanders, right, in a compelling way. Because if you think you're going to hold on to those jobs, it's just like every other industry we talk about, right? And so where's the innovation? What are we doing different? How is Rhode Island the model for what everybody else should do? It goes back to that same idea. And if you don't do that, and you're small like Rhode Island, right, you will ultimately pay the price for that. And now we're paying that price in lots of different sectors. We've talked about retail. We can talk about healthcare.
Right.
It's no different in healthcare, right? Where's the new model to change the patient experience? It takes advantage of our small size, that puts us in a place that brings the answer to the way we should be doing healthcare around the rest of the country. If we keep looking like everybody else, we're too small, the market isn't big enough. We lose it. We lose if we play a shared game.
Right.
We win when we play an innovation game, and innovation means imagining a different way for it to work, right? And this is the thing that Rhode Island should be all in and really good at, so that we don't end up in a situation like we're in now in healthcare, where now we've got to lose hospitals that with real jobs, and the real pain and suffering, that happens from that. Right. Sooner or later, we're going to get on. We're going to both right size what the healthcare system should look like here, right? But if we don't get on with innovation, the players in the region are going to keep coming in, right?
And run right by us.
And it's going to affect us on the job front anyway. So why not play offense?
Last thing, it's only 47 more weeks till BIF.
Please, I'm exhausted. I'm still exhausted from the last.
Mr. Innovation, thank you so much. Stay right here. Just want to wrap up Business Monday. You don't get any more full in 1 hour on Business Monday than a great number of guests we had, all with great insights. I want to thank everybody. For tuning in. Thank our friends at Deepwater, and from the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I want to thank everybody. We'll be back tomorrow, 3 o'clock, with Ava Gaudette in Arts and Entertainment. She's been rocking it with amazing guests. And then at 4 o'clock, news editor Kate Nagel will have News and Politics. And I think 400 people are announcing that they're running for statewide offices tomorrow. So it won't be dull. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Woohoo!
How are you?
I'm good. Crazy. It's really busy right now.
speaking of innovation, hello, Mr. Dean.
How are you, sir?
Good. What's going on? You looking well?
Yeah, thanks.
You know Saul?
Mr.
Dean Martin now?
Saul.